Welcome back. So let's talk a little bit about a theory instead of a fact. So right now with XUnit, we've only used the fact for now, but there's actually another thing we can use called a theory. Now a theory is really valuable when you want to test multiple values for everything you're working with. So for instance, if you want to test corner cases and stuff like that, you can pass in, instead of making multiple tests, you can just pass in multiple values. So let's just try and do it right here, make a new theory. Instead of just passing in one negative value right here, I'm going to try and pass in multiple different negative values just to see that they still fail with any negative value. Sweet. I'm going to add something called a theory first instead of a fact, and then I'm going to add what's called inline data right here, and that's actually data I can pass into the method. I'm going to just call the data right here, it's going to just be called ID value or something. Let's actually just call it ID. So this is the ID I'm going to pass in, and let's just put that in here instead of the -1. So the cool thing is that now I can just pass in -1 right here, and it'll actually be passed down to this method. And then you can actually go and add as much inline data as you want. So let me just add one more. Let's say it was -5,000. Again, it wouldn't really make a difference right here. It would still fail. And then let's put in one more right below it, where we would do maybe the max integer value or int.min value. There we go. So that's the lowest negative integer values you can have. Now I'll test that as well. Now again, it probably would never be a problem. And let's rerun our unit tests. And now we're actually going to do 3 tests instead of 1 right here for this thing. We'll let it pass. There we go. Now we have 3 tests. And notice again, instead of 1, this guy right here testing the ID actually sends in 3 successful tests and not only 1. So it's a pretty neat way both to minimize the amount of tests you're doing, but also to kind of add multiple corner cases of data into your test if that's what you actually want in your test setup. So I just want to show you guys that now we are done with the theory as well. I just keep this in here just as a reference for you guys if you want to use theories. And of course, if you want to, just to show you that, you can pass in multiple values. So I could also pass in like a Boolean value right here if I wanted to test it, I don't know, anything like that. And I could actually just add it up here like this and add true, for instance, and this would be false. I don't know. I just want to show you can pass in multiple values just like you would with any kind of test or any kind of method. So think of the inline data method is pretty much the method you have right here, and then depending on the amount of properties you put in here, then that will be passed in from up here. So if I remove this Boolean value again, you'll notice that now I also need to kind of remove these test values up here as well to kind of not destroy my code. So that's it for this lesson. Now you also know about the theory, and I'm going to use both in the future, both the theory and the actual facts when I code. So see you next time. Have fun.